to HIAC Talk Radio. Craig at Craig Lagans. Dan at DanLaw83. We have a lot to talk about. Well, we don't have a lot to talk about wrestling. It's pretty good. It's pretty much going to be one question about wrestling, then right into wrestling historian. But I feel, especially with Craig on the show, that it would be really effing stupid to not at least bring up the world. Yes, it's going to be about wrestling. As it says, it's on the top mark. It's wrestling. Aegon TV, hello. How are you doing? Aegon, appreciate you watching.
Aegon.
I appreciate you watching. And it's closer to Egon, so you have a special place in my heart. Now, Craig, I was going to let you it was funny because Paul and I also said something about it. And Paul is in, if you watch The Last Obey the Puck at the beginning, Paul basically is in law enforcement. He's been doing the same thing for 30 years. He works at a psychiatric hospital. I almost messed that word up. So he has to be restrained. And he explained how, that's something you don't do. He just explained how they were trained. It's the same training law enforcement officers get. And all that bull-ass excuses about George Floyd. And the current state of things, hence the hashtag at the bottom of the screen for the live show, Black Lives Matter. That's something you're going to have to either get over or move on. But I'm not going to be shy about this. But while we were talking about it, Craig, I did state, let's do this quickly because nobody wants to see two fat white boys talk about this. Yes, I do. Oh, Paul's there. Hi, Paul. I appreciate it. Everything I said was accurate, I believe. I just recorded it yesterday, so I think I got it right. Mm-hmm. And Paul basically said there's no way that should happen. There's no way. There's no justification. He agreed. There's no justification. Well, you know that, Craig.
Yeah.
I know that. Many other people know that, which is why we are where we are right now. And you are very close to it all. In physically and mentally and physically as where you live.
Yeah.
So I want you to take this opportunity while we're live, and there are people watching, and there will be people listening later. Lift the mic up a little tiny bit. And this is your outlet. Because I know I really wish Comic Book Gurus is running because it would be a distraction for all of us with everything that's going on. So
True.
I'm going to shut up, sit back. Whitey's going to be quiet for a little while, and I want you to just, everything you need to say it.
Well, I can't even believe it's only been 4 days since the protests began in earnest on Friday because of the death of Mr. Lloyd. And when they started... Murder.
Let's just call it a murder. That's what.
Yeah, we don't have. It is a murder. And the fallout and the protests started, and there was a big protest here in Philly, like there were in many parts of the country. And ours here in Philly started off very quiet and peaceful. Started in City Hall and went to the Art Museum. Now, I live, for fans of HIAC Talk Radio who don't know, obviously you can tell that I'm not just a fan of Philly sports. I actually live in Philadelphia. And when I say live in Philadelphia, I'm right in the heart of Center City.
Yeah.
So where all the big buildings are, that's where I am. Well, whenever when there's been protests before in other states, like say in Minnesota, where a bunch of people can have assault rifles without masks and storm a Capitol building, and absolutely nothing happens to them, that's one form of protest. But if you're peaceful protesting against the police, that's when you will always be met with resistance. So when a bunch of people with no weapons, wearing masks, protest the police, what happened on Saturday was, after the peaceful protests in the Art Museum where Rocky ran up the steps, the police got involved and wouldn't let the protesters pass Broad Street.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it started. And I'm saying this right now, this is the only outlet I have to talk to a wide group of people. All the protests, and there were protests in all 50 states. All 50 states can't agree on anything, but all 50 states had their own protest of some kind. peaceful protest to protest the murder of George Floyd. But when you see the rioting and the looting, that was because the protesters, the nonviolent protesters, were met with force by the police. No one starts out a peaceful protest in order to start looting.
No.
When the police resist, the very institution that caused the murder of George Floyd, that's when bad things happen. Bad things happened on Saturday. A police car was set on fire, and the police pushed the protesters in Philly up towards Broad Street and up on my street, which was Chestnut Street and Walnut Street, the busiest commerce streets in the city of Philadelphia. And when the streets were blocked off, that's when the looting started. Windows were shattered, retail stores were just wiped out, emptied out, mannequins on the street, Foot Locker was raided, empty shoe boxes everywhere. And here, when I'm watching on television, just like you were, Dan, and you texted me, "Are you okay?" Because I'm hearing, when you hear, "Oh, Chestnut Street is ablaze. Chestnut Street is through. Chestnut Street is over," and you live on Chestnut Street, that's when it starts getting. It always was real, but now it's right in my backyard. I've lived in this city, this part of the city, since 1996. That's 24 years. And even though it's an affluent part of the city, I'm still aware of who I am and the color of my skin, but I've never felt my life in danger. I've never been accosted. I've never been stopped by the police. I'm not saying this at the point of arrogance or that it couldn't happen. I'm just saying it hasn't happened. But when the rioting and the looting broke out on Chestnut Street, on my street, an 8 o'clock curfew was implemented. But at 9:45, almost 10 o'clock, a brick, center block, something, projectile came through the front door of my apartment building. Glass shattered. It hit against the apartment door that leads to my apartment, and the whole building shook. So my next thought is, they're coming in. I don't know if it's police. I don't know if it's looters. But now I know my life is already in danger. Mostly because of the color of my skin. And when it happened, and I took a picture and I shared it on social media, and people like you and other close friends were asking if I'm okay and saying the same thing: be safe, stay safe, be safe, stay safe.
I wish I could do more for you, by the way.
And that too. And thank you. And so many people, the close, and even people that I don't know, people that I've only known through this podcast, through other podcasts, through my association with Preston and Steve, offered to take me in or come to the city and take me out and bring Amber and all that. And I could not be more grateful. But I didn't want anyone to come to Philly. And back then, and it wasn't just my building. I live above a shop, and that shop was vandalized, and every retail outlet on my street was vandalized. There's a bong shop 2 doors up. They were vandalized. There was a liquor store.
Are the bongs okay?
I'm still waiting to hear on that, Dan. Well, I think they're okay because they're all taken.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Free weed, man. Go for it.
Yeah, just like the sneakers that were out on the street from Foot Locker on 15th and Chestnut. And the amount of sneakers that were out, because people just grabbed boxes and they looked at the sizes later and go, "Oh, this is my size," and they'll just lay it there on the street. But the bottom line is, ever since that Saturday night, and I still can't believe it's been only 4 days, it feels like a month, I felt sad, angry, depressed, and afraid. Now, I've had all those emotions before many times in my life. I've never felt all 4 of them at the same time. And to hear people tell me, stay safe, be safe, and I get that, I understand. And I've heard that at least literally 100 times. People have said those 2 words: be safe or stay safe.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, people listening to HIAC Talk Radio. If you love our show, thank you for listening. But telling me to stay safe, um, telling that to a person of color, that's my default setting. I can't be anything but safe. I always have to be safe. I always have to stay safe, no matter where I am. But here's the thing: when people said, "Do you have a place to go? Do you have anywhere you can? If things did get bad, do you have any place to go that's safe?" And the uh, pragmatic part, the practical part, yes, I have a place where I can go. The realistic part is I'm an African American man in the United States of America. There's nowhere where I'm safe. Not out in the street, not in the store, not out jogging, not if I was in a store trying to pass a bad $20 check, and not even in my own home. So asking if there's a safe place where I can go, short answer, yes with an and, long answer, no with a but. But that's where I am right now. I want to thank, if you were one of the people that reached out to me or texted me or messaged me on Facebook, email, whatever. Thank you for your concern. I'm not going anywhere. Really, there's nothing. There's nowhere for. I mean, there's places for me to go, but I'm not going to be leaving my place. I'm right in the center. Someone called it the epicenter. Fox News called it the epicenter. The Fox News in Philadelphia called the epicenter.
All right, never mind.
Yeah,
I was about to get mad there for a second.
No,
And never mind.
And no, the good Fox here in Philly called it the epicenter or ground zero. But I know there's places that Walnut Street got it just as bad, if not worse. And I know there's people that, and it's not just here in Philly. There's cities all over the country, this week, that woke up to their neighborhood in shambles if they live in a city, or woke up to some type of damage on their property or in their neighborhood. And I'm saying, and I'm just one person saying this. My story is no different than anyone else's. No better or no worse than anyone else.
Oh, sure,
and
but
there's and I'm sure there's people that are worse off than me, and there's people that have it better than me. I didn't lose my business. I didn't lose my livelihood.
you
The
weren't
timing,
hurt.
I wasn't hurt, and neither was my cat Amber. So there was that. But and I still have my life. So there is that. But where we are right now, where I am right now is the only thing I have left is hope. And that's the only thing I'm counting on. That's the only thing I'm relying on. I don't sleep at night anymore because because it happened during the night. So now I just sleep during the day where I know I'm safe. And one of these days, I'm sure that the nightmares will stop. But until this big one ends, I just have to get through it because there's so much pain and suffering out there, and you can't even dream it away.
Are you still able to get to work?
What I was supposed to work this week, I worked last week, and how it was supposed to work. My friend Jack, who lives in Wilmington, was pick me up at my place, and we drive down. Because of what happened on over the weekend, the roads were shut off, and I wasn't going to work anyway. But even if I could or wanted to, the streets were all blocked off in Philly. So I was told to stay home this week anyway.
Wow.
I have to go back next week, only for Tuesday and Thursday. Hopefully the roads will be clear. But I'm getting a ride to and from work next Tuesday and Thursday.
Good.
But I have off for the rest of the week.
Speaking from my privileged ass myself, I posted something, and I need your feedback. And I've been talking to, Real Mama Eagle's in the room. I've been talking to RME. We were talking about you off air, and our friend Brett, who's no longer with us. It's very sad. Oh, no, the other Brett.
Okay.
The derogatory guy. Oh yeah, no, that Brett. Not he's no longer with us. Twitter finally got him. but I've been trying to not like talk to other white people about this. It's basically what I'm trying to say, because I don't need to double my perspective.
Mhm.
And it occurred to me. It didn't occur to me. It's something that occurred to me years ago that everybody has a thing. Like I didn't have a rough childhood, but it was not easy. But I would never say that. Oh, I had it rough.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we all have some people's levels of being able to. Some people's baggage is heavier than the other.
Right.
But I've been talking to Real Mama Eagle and people I've met through her, and just interacting with people I've known for years and trying to listen to them.
Mhm.
And it occurred to me, and I could be wrong, that if they had just, and I mean the Minneapolis Gestapo, I
Yeah.
said it, had just, pretended to press charges or care. And I don't mean blow it off and then let it go, but not wait this long.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, are you now bringing charges? Gee, thank you. It only took 5 days and a bunch of people arrested and a bunch of crap destroyed for you to go, maybe we should charge these guys.
It was Chaikin was charged 3 days after the fact, and the other three weren't.
Yeah.
During the entire weekend when all the damage was being done. It could have been
the people in control could have just, you want peace, you want harmony, make it look like you give a damn.
Yeah. And the thing is, Dan, I'm sure, yes, that would have helped a lot if it was immediate, if it was instantaneous, the way it would be for anyone else who witnessed a murder or who filmed a murder on your camera. But the timing of it, I can't escape because of where we are. We've been locked in. We've been locked down for 3 months. 40 million people are unemployed. There's people that are still sick that still haven't been dealt with. It's getting hot. All that you pour all that, and especially having the worst person on earth to turn to in the times of crisis, who is only going to inflame and make matters worse. We have no comfort, no leadership, no guidance coming from the most important position in our country, and that's what makes it 10 times worse. Why are we turning to other presidents to help us?
Because the guy we have now is a piece of garbage. That's why. Yeah. I'm not, and let me, and I was very clear on Twitter the other day when I say him. I'm not talking about other Republicans or your political stance on that side if you're right. I'm not talking about Democrats and your stance on there if you're left. I'm not talking about anything else. That person is a piece of garbage.
Yes.
You knew this.
Always known.
I knew this.
Yes.
I hated him. Everybody's like, you just hate him because he's bad. I hated him when he was on screen in
Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2. I hated him when he came into the friggin' WWE and they did a stupid angle with him and he took the stunner like he takes everything else wrong. Yeah. Did it wrong like he does everything else. He gassed his own citizens and people who worked at the church. He gassed a reverend to get a commercial done for Twitter. That would have looked better if I filmed it on the iPhone I don't own.
Yeah.
We can discuss partisan issues all day, right and left.
Mm-hmm.
That is part of what made the country work. The two-party system's broken. I mean, I don't know how many more clues you need to that, but I don't want to dig too much into the political part. The whole point: this one person is a piece of garbage that is leading other people and enabling other people. Period. He's not enabling other people. This is what happens when I say he's enabling something, and it happens.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I'm not actually sorry. I won't tell you who this person is or what her name is or what relation she is to me. She voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a long conversation today going, we got to get him out. We got to get him out. These last 4 days, and unfortunately the last 4 days were the line crosser, but
yeah,
this was the line crosser. I'm not voting for him. I said, welcome to the club.
yeah. Glad you caught up. And I've hated him since the USFL.
Oh, gee, I didn't even think of that, which
Yeah.
we did. Mark and Paul are watching. We interviewed the guy who wrote that book about Donald Trump screwing the USFL, dude.
Because he was a baby way back then, because he only started his league because they wouldn't let him buy the Jets or the Giants. So I'm going to start my own league.
And then F that over. Everything he's touched, look at Atlantic City. There are several factors of why Atlantic City is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for signing up on Twitch, Paul. I actually really appreciate that. Aegon says because the guy we have isn't a president, he's a dictator and will's clothing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to double down and I'm going to say he's wearing any clothing. He's not hiding anything.
Mm-mm.
He's never hid anything.
No, he worships dictators. He wishes he honestly believes that as president, his power is absolute. And that he can control the media and the press and anyone who says anything bad about him. And that's not the case.
Guess what? He's a piece of garbage. Stop me.
Yeah. But part of the reason why this has gotten so bad is because of his negligence on the virus when it first came, that he called a hoax. Had he taken it seriously, we would have had half the deaths, if not even 80% of the deaths that we have now. We would be back to work now. It wouldn't be as bad as it is now. So if this did happen again, and I'm going to not even, I will take away the if, it was going to happen. Jakin had already had 15 demerits or 15 past incidents of police brutality on him. So he was going to kill someone because of who he was. So when that happened to Mr. Floyd, this would not have been the powder keg that it was. There would have been protests, no doubt, and peaceful ones, no doubt. But because of the amount of angst, anger, and the unemployment and the despair and the fury and the resentment that everyone had, it would not have been this bad. And that falls securely on the highest office in the land, because there's been no assurance, there's been no words of empathy, there's been no support, there's been no words of sorrow for the people, the lives that have been lost, the people that have lost their jobs, the people that are still sick right now. And we haven't even touched on, Dan, the amount of people that could get sick after these last 4 days of protesting and looting. So the worst is like, as to paraphrase Charles Dickens, it was the worst of times, it's the worst of times.
Yeah. I have this weird faith of the good eventually will outweigh the bad.
Yeah.
And when I think of, oh, it's so bad, I can't believe I'm seeing this, and how insignificant I am in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I take a sit back. I'm like, something's got to happen.
Yeah, I said this the first video I made after the riots and my place got broken into and everything. The one good thing about being this down, we got nowhere to go but up.
That's true.
So
That's true.
It's not always going to be like this. We're not always going to feel like this. I'm not always going to feel like this. I'm always going to be black. So that
what?
Yeah. Or quote Steve Martin, you mean I'm going to stay this color? The Jerk, 1978.
Yeah. Nice.
But so that's never going to change. So the sadness, anger, depression, fear that I have, it may go away, it may not. But I know as long as I'm who I am, that's always going to be on the table, shall we say. The sad reality is I could have, or I could be at any time, Trayvon Martin or Breonna Lewis or Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd? I haven't, but I always could be. So that's what I have to live with and deal with every single day. It doesn't dominate my thoughts. It doesn't lead my life. I still have plenty of things to do. I still have plenty of life to live. And we have this podcast. I have my other podcast when that gets back up. So there's plenty to be done, and there's plenty lives to touch, and plenty of positivity we have to share, and laughter to bring, and happiness to expound.
You made Paul laugh. The Jerk is one of his favorite movies.
Oh, good, Paul.
Yeah.
Yes, because like Steve Martin, Paul, I was born a poor black child. So.
I have not seen that movie in years.
Oh my God!
In years, I said in years. It was one that was on. It was one of 3 or 4 movies that. This is going to be a good transition out of it because I think you ended it perfectly.
Thank you.
And I'm going to leave Black Lives Matter up the whole time because if it's a problem, don't watch.
Yeah, that's how AEW started off this week, by the way.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Better than Vinny.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about that in a second. We're going to get right into wrestling in a second. But in the movie, My Story, you want to hear my story? Yeah, type it out. I'll repeat it if you don't mind. It was sarcasm.
Got it.
Thank you.
I don't really want to hear your story.
No. Paul has had a lot of experience in this. And of course, Paul is racist and sexist because he's from Boston, but he's not even from Boston. So I don't know.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what that's what. It's a joke, guys. It's a joke. The Jerk. No, I know, Paul. I was being sarcastic. My story. You want to hear my story? I know. We're on the same page.
Yes.
Or maybe I left the page for a second. The Jerk, Mother Junction Speed,
mm-hmm.
and Spinal Tap were 3 movies I never picked up on Blu-ray when they got. Well, first of all, Mother Junction Speed has not been put on Blu-ray, and I know that one guy's in it. I don't care. I need that movie on HD, so let's get this going.
Yes.
The lead, one of the lead actors, his name escapes me. He plays
Larry
the
Hagman?
guy. No. The guy who plays the ambulance, the guy who owns F&B.
Oh, see, I only knew the 3.
Well, it's Larry Hagman, it's Harvey Keitel, Raquel Welch,
and the other guy,
Bill Cosby. I'm gonna name his name, Bill Cosby. Okay. Listen, he was funny in that damn movie. I don't care.
And also in that movie, Mother Junction Speed, little fun fact, Dick Buckets, but little fun fact, the woman who blew her brains out with a double-barrel shotgun was 80s one-hit wonder Tony Basil.
Oh, that's right, it is Tony Basil.
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
Yeah, but she shoots the guy that later became the congressman at the beginning of the first X-Men movie that becomes a mutant because of Magneto.
Bruce Davidson. Yeah.
Bruce Davidson, exactly. Very good.
I just saw him on Monday in Creep Show.
Alan Garfield.
The
actor, he just passed away earlier this year. And it's not a good movie.
No.
I mean, I disagree. I think it's just fine. It's just a silly movie. Yeah. But the cast in it is like...
It's I put this... It's a 70s movie. And 70s movies, they put a whole bunch of big stars in one film and kind of weave it all together. But you had Towering Inferno with Paul Newman and Steve McQueen in it. You had The Poseidon Adventure with Gene Hackman and Shelley Winters and Gene Stanley and all the. So you Earthquake with Charlton Heston and Adrian Barbeau and Vic Morrow. The 70s, they just put everyone together, and Mother Junction Speed was a perfect 70s movie because you had just put 3 stars and see what happens.
Yeah, it's fine. You should watch it. It's a fun movie. Just ignore that one guy did anything after this.
Yeah, and you should watch The Jerk again.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I finally got Spinal Tap.
Good.
I need to get The Jerk on Blu-ray. I don't know if it's on Blu-ray. And if MGM could move their ass about Mother Junction Speed, that'd be great. Because I would. I don't put anything on it. Release it digitally. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
Make Dan happy. Just like the WWE should make their wrestlers happy, because apparently the thing that we liked so much last week about wrestlers standing behind the plexiglass,
Yeah.
apparently they're not drinking or getting a rest for 10 hours, and they have to stand there and do the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Why? Why can't Vince figure this out? He's almost dead. He has no more wisdom to get. Give him a break.
So they have to stand there?
Yes.
With no water?
And when they get tired, they're like, hey, let's go. Wake up, guys. We got to get some enthusiasm here.
Wow. Yeah, well, that is a shame, because the one thing that did make me happy this week was Nikki Cross on SmackDown. She even got Cole to break up. She even got Bayley to break.
She's funny.
She was hilarious, and I have to go back years. I have to check my own notes as a wrestling historian to remember the last time I genuinely laughed at a WWE moment. Nikki Cross went from sitting down on her headset to kneeling on her chair to standing on her desk cheering for Alexa Bliss. And when Bayley goes, "Nikki, sit down. Don't you tell me what to do!" And to see Cole break, and
because Cole's good at not breaking.
Yes, man. And even oh god, Corey even said 25 years, Cole. It's the first time you broke. You lost it. You lost the desk. That was a genuinely funny moment.
Did it make it funnier because of the accent?
Yes. Don't you tell me what to do!
Don't you tell me what to do! Oh man, yes. I needed that, and it sucks because like the WWE has a good thing with it. Can you just? Now I'm sure they have water and they're hydrated, but they're not letting them take any breaks.
I don't understand. They have commercials there. I mean, they're not shooting everything live.
You tell me, Craig, because at first I was like, well, I mean, most people stand at an indie show for longer. Who cares?
Yeah.
But it's like, well, it's hot. They're not getting any breaks. Can't go to the bathroom. This is what's being reported.
Okay.
And the reason you can believe it is because it's Vince friggin' McMahon. I don't know. It's just like, of all of the top thing, can you let him can you give him a break, Vince, for Christ's sake? You're not saving that much of a buck for a 10-minute break here and there.
No.
God, you got to change the lights, which takes like 5 seconds for the hit of a button, but still, there's plenty of editing opportunities. Which sucks because I really enjoyed Raw this week. It wasn't bad at all.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I like where MVP's getting a lot more camera time than I thought he was. I honestly didn't think his Royal Rumble appearance would be a one and done, but it's like they actually had plans for this dude. And they actually listened because Bobby Lashley has always needed a manager. I thought it should have stayed Leo Rush, but Leo just turned out to be a jerk. But MVP, he's the one who should have a stable.
Yeah, how he does. You think MVP might be more because of the coronavirus stopping some people from getting there and not?
Probably. And which is great for MVP, but because I know if he got an opportunity, he would run with it, and that's what he's doing. I would have liked to have seen this if there was more, people in the stands. But what MVP is doing, and even what Zelina's doing with her mini stable, great stuff. That's the one good thing about the WWE. Aleister Black getting a win over Seth Rollins was perfect. That guy should not.
You cut out.
He's only lost. He's only been lost. I'm sorry. No. He's only lost once on, and that was to further AJ for his match with the Undertaker. But Aleister Black is a guy that should not be losing at all. So his win over Seth Rollins was great.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable episode. And then as I'm watching, I'm like, ugh. It's hard. I have this weird thing with, and I'm not going to jump back on what's going on in the world, but I have this weird thing where I'm like, I started getting some jobs back, and I just feel weird going, I get some jobs back when everything else is happening. It's like, I just, it's hard to. I decided at the end of this week, not that I'm going to ignore what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to talk about it, especially when some guy rolls up and calls me the N-word. That's so weird. I'm going to start tweeting more about wrestling again next week because I really took a break from it. Me and my friend Alex. Alex happens to be the camera guy for Primetime, and he was for Nova when we were involved there.
Okay.
And we got into it started off heated, but we're friends, so I was kind of like, hold on, let me pull back a bit. About, not supporting WWE and supporting other people, and I explained why I did and why I don't care. Because where were you? Where not him? I mean, generally, where were people with this energy when Sammy was being wife and Impact? Blah 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 blah. Well, I'm invested, except for Impact.
Okay.
And it's a shame because the women's division is still one of the best things on television as far as wrestling goes, or I find entertaining on wrestling. But I have Sammy Callahan and Tessa Blanchard shoved down my throat, and I'm like, I can't. I'm out. I'd be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I was like, hey, it's a good show. I just couldn't do it.
I get it.
It was difficult, man. But I'm going to give them one more week just looking at the YouTube stuff and keeping up on the women's division there because they're concentrating on them so much. It would be a crime for me not to try again. Yeah, so I for the first time since coronavirus and all the other BS with that and the protests and all the stuff that's coming with that, I actually watched more wrestling this week because, quite frankly, listen, I'm staying very much updated and everything. I need a break sometimes.
Oh, yeah, of course. We all need a break, especially now.
Yeah, I can't do it or I'm just going to go cry in the bathtub.
Yeah,
or cut my toe open and bleed all over it.
Yeah, well, that's why people use their free time for all different reasons, Dan, and you're one for the butchery. But that's what we're doing right now for our fans. We're giving them a break, so you don't have to worry about what's going on outside your door. Just come back, just sit here with us, and we'll talk about the wonderful world of pro wrestling.
Hey, we have another first timer in the ring, Ramel 1313. Hello. Hey, hi, Ramil. I guess not. That's pronounce it correctly. So there's a list a friend of mine gave me on Twitter that I would like you and I to go through for next episode. Give us something else to distract us.
Okay.
And they gave me the top 10 list from their favorite matches of the 70s. And I have the list, and I'm just going to run it by through real quick. Number 10 is from March 17th, 1975. Spiros, Arion, and Bruno.
Yes.
For the WWF heavy. See, you've seen some of these. Yes. I will say this. There is very little I've seen from the 70s in its entirety. I told Case, give me the list, because I know Craig will love it, and it's something I haven't seen any of this. So please give me the list and we'll report on it. It's basically between 73 and 77. Go ahead.
Okay. And well, I was talking about just in the Wrestling Historian this past, one of the greatest heel turns I ever saw was Seth Rollins turning on the Shield. The first heel turn I ever saw, which scarred me, which made me cry, was Spiros Arion turning on Chief J Strongbow. So Spiros Arion was my first heel. When he turned on Chief J Strongbow, which is like when you need instant heat. I mean, that's how Jimmy Valiant got over. That's how Peter Maivia became. He turned on Chief J Strongbow, but he did this in the middle of a WWF Tag Team title match against the Valiant Brothers, because everyone knew that Spiros Arion and Chief J Strongbow were going to win, and he turns on Chief J Strongbow, leaves them bloody. So it was not only my first heel turn, it was the first time I ever saw blood. It was my
first for a lot of things.
Yes, my first for a lot of things. So I was a Ute in tears. And so when he challenged Bruno, and keep in mind, I still hadn't seen Bruno wrestle. He was just this mythical, godlike creature that came on TV with a belt, and he would beat whoever he was supposed to face, and he'd be back the next week with a belt, and because he's a great Bruno.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, he's got to teach Spiros a lesson. Oh my God, or maybe what if Spiros beats Bruno? Oh my, and so
what I do
that And that was his first match after the TV audience, like me, got to see. They showed the heel turn on Strongbow, so he was a freshly minted heel going against the most popular wrestler on earth at Madison Square Garden. So the place was electric. So good.
Let me burn through the rest of this because
Okay,
we'll go in depth next week.
Yes, I promise. I'm sorry. I didn't
That's okay. Shut up, Craig. It's my turn again. No, I'm kidding. Number 9 is Blackjack Lanza and Lee Wong at the Garden in '73, and it's a singles match. Number 8 is the NWA Texas Championship. I'm sorry, it's Texas Championship Wrestling, idiot. '77, David Von Erich versus Harley Race, best of 3.
Yes.
Wow, see, I'm just glad you're recognizing something. I'm excited about this. Number 7, from 1976, Nikolai Volkov versus Bruno for the WWF Heavyweight Championship. I believe we've talked about that before.
We have.
And we'll go into that next week. This one I'm really looking forward to, from October 24th, 1977 at MSG. The NWA's – nope, sorry, that's the next match. Sorry. This is just a tag team match with the ladies, Kitty Adams and Leilani Kai. Versus Winona Littleheart and Vivian St. John.
Okay, that was for the WWF Ladies Tag Team title. That's
what I was trying to say, and I was confusing it with one you'll hear down the road. This is my point.
Okay.
The NWA, this is from the NWA 1975 for the North American Heavyweight Championship. Mm-hmm. Terry Funk versus Bill Watts, 75.
Yeah.
Stan Stasiak and Dusty.
Yes, Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden, 1977. That is number 4.
Yes, I remember that. That made the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
I was going to say, I could see it in my head, even though I've never seen the match. I could see the picture that you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is the NWA Women's Tag Team Championship in 1973 at the Madison Square Garden WWF show. Dottie Downs and Peggy Patterson versus Jan Sheridan and Joyce Grable. Best of 3 falls.
Best of 3 falls, yeah.
Number 2, Stan Hansen and Bruno, 1976 cage match.
Yeah. That was the first time in Madison Square Garden since the broken neck incident.
Oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
And number 1 is the return of Spiros Arion and Bruno Sammartino, a submission singles match for the WWF Heavyweight Championship 1975. We will be going through those throughout the week and talking about them next week. I want to thank my friend Case, who grew up a little bit further south than me, a little bit older than me, so seen stuff I've never seen. We've been talking about it all the time. And Case asked, hey, can I send you stuff? I was like, absolutely. Content is content, and it'll get me to watch this stuff. Now, the second thing I wanted to bring up, and this is Dan's look back, and then we'll get out of here real quick. You and I both remember when Sting was thrown out of the Horsemen.
Yes.
And it was an iconic moment.
It was.
I mean, unfortunately, later that night, Doug Dillinger broke his freaking tore his knee, pulling him off the cage because, Doug Dillinger is Doug Dillinger.
Doug Dillinger, yes. And threw the whole NWA into disarray.
The words he used the next show, which was Wrestle War 90, the next pay-per-view, Gary Michael Capetta said, a tragedy has been fallen NWA. I was like, God, I can imagine how they felt when that happens. Like, holy Jesus.
Yeah.
But what I didn't remember, and I have to admit, between 95 and 2001, you and I both know that I can remember a lot of things like an encyclopedia. I could bring it up.
Right.
I don't remember how hard Flair slapped the crap out of him at all.
Oh, and did it twice.
3. He did it 3 times.
Yeah.
He did 1, 2.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, get out of my life. Get out of this business. And then he slapped him again, but he slapped him so hard when he was on the ground that even Cornette was like, oh! He reacted like that. I don't remember, and it got me thinking how wrestlers would just beat the holy hell out of each other, not even in a match, in a segment type situation, and have the S slapped out of you and not want to kill him backstage.
Look at Arn Anderson. He's really trying to keep Sting from getting out.
Yeah, because
he got his hand. Okay, we're just supposed to hold him in the ring, and he was like, "Wait, this guy is really effing strong."
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. He hit me really hard.
Yeah.
But
So
it wasn't. It was Arn's face. But right before that, right before they cut to Flair grabbing the mic, the camera from behind, kind of to the side. Right before that, when the hard cam, you see Ole.
Yeah.
Struggle to get his arm around Sting. And I'm like, oh, he's going to kill him. But the fact that you never heard a story about him going backstage going, I'm going to kill that mother effer.
No.
I mean, just.
Yeah, just really, really paintbrush him. And had his knee been intact after that, I'm sure they might have been a conversation. Probably not. But there was, I know only one of those slaps was planned. The others were.
Yeah, man. But it brought us to that moment.
Yeah.
It's iconic when you have 2 hours. You have 2 hours. You're no longer in the Horseman. Get rid of that contract, or you're a dead man.
And if we ever see you again, you're not going to look so pretty.
When you signed that contract, you signed your death warrant.
And the best part of that, because Ole did all the talking, okay, Flair never said a word until after the attack. And because we thought that Flair, because I thought, a little part of me thought, okay, well, Flair's going to get in Ole's face. He goes, no, it's okay. We're fine.
Nope.
I will face him. But it wasn't until after the attack that Flair became Flair.
Yeah. He was kind of like letting Ole be the guy where it's like, you tell him.
Yeah.
Tell him that, or we're going to kill him. And then as soon as that switch flipped, man, the Horsemen were the Horsemen again, where it was like, we're going to kill this dude. It's over.
Which makes me hate Jim Herd even more, because had he not suspended Tully Blanchard for failing a drug test in another company, Tully Blanchard would have been in that ring instead of Ole Anderson. And not that we would be robbed of Ole Anderson's great promo.
But Tully would have been there. Man, just the Horsemen were so good. I know people were like, the old days. Like, no, the Horsemen were so good. Just stop it. And with that being said, sir, we are now done for the evening. I want to thank everybody for coming in here. I think I already know who we're going to raid, so those on Twitch, please hang on at least 5 minutes to join in on the raid. I would have greatly appreciate it. And please follow me on all social media platforms at DanLo83. Like, share, subscribe, YouTube, and Twitch. Follow me, please. Follow me, please. VOCNation.com. to listen on the computer, or if you go to your smartphone, whatever smartphone you have, go to your podcast app, type in VOC Nation Radio Network, subscribe, and listen to the podcast there. Craig, where can people follow you, my good sir?
If they would like, they could follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram at Craig Ligons, CraigLiggeons.